Hello and welcome back to Moving Forward, where we discuss community affairs and meet people with intriguing stories. I'm your host, Ellen Copy, and before the break, we learned a little about cartilage tissue research. With us now is Norma Rist, a former board of directors with Athena International. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start by telling us what Athena International is?
Sure, Ellen. Athena International is a nonprofit. They were founded actually in Lansing, Michigan. A woman named Martha Mertz, almost 30 years ago next year. Martha was active in the community in Lansing, and she discovered that women leaders were not always recognized. They were there, but no one could identify who they were. And she was invited to serve on the chamber board, and there weren't any other women there, so she suggested perhaps they would like to add some additional women leaders to the chamber board. And they said they really would like to do that, but they couldn't find any. So she began to realize that women leaders stayed pretty busy and they were not always in the spotlight and you couldn't always find them. So she began to think about what kind of an award program would honor women leaders, and as a result the community would know about them, and also that by honoring them that young women could see them. They would be role models in their community. So she started the very first Athena International Women's Leadership Award program. That program now is in more than 250 cities in the United States and has been given in about 10 other countries. So that was the beginning of Athena International, a traditional nonprofit, but their mission is exclusively to honor and support and develop women leaders.
And how did you start to get involved with it?
In 2003, the Inside Business magazine in Cleveland had looked at the last 3 years where one of their cover issues was to honor a woman business, either an owner or a woman in corporate, so they would have the Businesswoman of the Year. They decided when they heard about Athena that they would like to offer the Athena Leadership Award. And it's a license in those cities, so they took a license not only for Cleveland and Akron, but also for Cincinnati. So that first year in 2003, they had a lunch and they had nominees that were honored. And at that particular year, I was the recipient of that award. And as a result, I was also invited to go to Chicago to the leadership conference that they were having every year. So at first I looked at it and I thought, this will really be fun. It's 2 days, it's in Chicago. I would not have to work for 2 days. I could just go and relax and meet new people, and I thought this is going to be great. But I also thought I can go and learn about Athena, and I can bring back the information. So everyone here who was rather new to it, I could help them to know what else Athena was doing and what it looked like across the United States.
You're mentioning awards and lunches. What other kinds of events go on to keep this program going?
In addition to the award program, they added another program about 10 years ago, and it's called Athena PowerLink. And that's a board of advisors for a woman owner for 1 year. And this is only in about 15 cities. However, we just brought it to Akron. So there's a governing body, and they just selected 2 women owners. And within a week, they will have a board of advisors for their company to help them for the next year to achieve their goals. So that's the second program.
So there's many different programs going on. Reporter Rachel Salyer from the Moving Forward team actually had a chance to visit a recent Athena event, the Athena International Women's Leadership Day Luncheon. Let's take a look.
Athena really exemplifies on a global basis the interconnection of women and the energy that we use to promote one another, that we move to advance from generation to generation.
I think what they're doing is fantastic in terms of trying to bring women together, in terms of celebrating what women do.
As she became more popular, they gave her more things to do. just hold that thought.
Athena International recognizes women for their work with other women, for their professional excellence, and for their community engagement.
It was a really unexpected honor. I think we get focused on our careers. You tend to have your family issues, And you forget how uplifting it can be and energizing it to be with people who are like-minded. They don't all have to be women, but it is an exceptional experience to have this many women who are successful and committed in one place at one time. And if they take that energy back with them, I think it gives you a lot of strength to move forward.
Hello, I'm Ellen Copy, and we just watched a brief story on the Athena International Women's Leadership Day luncheon. I've been speaking with Norma Rist, and as we saw in the story, the women were speaking a lot about how it's nice that with careers and families to be around people that are of similar interests like them. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, women leaders who want to make a difference in their life, whether it's something that they have a particular interest in, maybe it's a mission, maybe they're affiliated with a nonprofit, maybe in a corporation, maybe they own their own business, but they want to make a difference. And so they're working hard to have a family as well as whatever their career is, and also to make a difference in people's lives. So they share a lot of commonalities, and they like to know each other. They get ideas, they get the benefit of knowing each other. And also, that gives them connections. When you want to get something done in the community, you can't do it by yourself. So they need to know each other, and that's the real opportunity.
Did you have the opportunity to also attend the luncheon?
I did attend the luncheon, but let me tell you another story about that. Hardly anybody knows where that luncheon came from.
Oh, yes.
As I served on the board of directors, which happened after I visited the leadership conference, I got to know Martha Mertz, and I was invited to serve on their board of directors. And later I was elected chair of the board of directors. So during that period, we had a leadership conference. We had a panel that we had specifically invited with representatives from National Association of Women Business Owners, Women's Presidents Organization, Women's Leadership Exchange. So we had a panel of all the key organizations that have a lot to do with women moving forward. As chair, I was looking for some synergies that either we would have with them or they would have with each other. So I actually was sitting in the back of the big conference room, and I was poised with a pen and paper, and I was waiting to hear what they would say that they had in common with each other. I thought somebody might lean over and say, "Oh, we're working on that too, we should talk." Well, that didn't happen. They were very focused on their own mission and describing it for the audience, but I did hear one thing in common. Every one of them said they had a hard time finding and bringing along the young women leaders in their community.
Okay.
So the young women professionals, they wanted to find a way to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Well, as chair of the board of directors, I had the opportunity of creating that model for that lunch. So we offered the very first one here in Akron in 2009.
Very wonderful.
Since that time, we've had it in a dozen cities. I hope we'll have it in 50 cities next year, and then around the world, all on Women's Leadership Day. That happened to take place on the third Tuesday in September, and they'll all be on the same day around the world, if I can pull that off.
Yes, well, it's definitely a great goal. What's the atmosphere like at these different luncheons?
Well, because the nature of it is that an established woman leader invites an emerging woman leader to lunch. So for instance, next September, maybe you can go with me. So I invite you. I buy a ticket for 2. And then as we arrive, I introduce you to women that I know who are other leaders in the community. Some are my friends, some I may not know, but this is the right place for me to introduce you to them. And we have many honorary chairs who are leaders that you would recognize their name in the newspaper. They may be judges, they may be heads of organizations, and they form a receiving line to welcome you. So it's fun, it's exciting, and you get to be there and you know that you're welcome. You know that we want you there.
Were you able to take a guest personally this year?
Oh, sure, every year.
Who'd you take?
Well, over the years, I choose different people to invite.
Okay.
In this case, I had a friend from Florida that was visiting me, so I took her with me. But other times, I just choose someone in the community, like you, and I invite them to come with me, because that's what's fun. I get to know the person, and I get to introduce them to other people.
Now, with this networking type of thing going on, do you have any success stories that people made connections at the lunch?
Oh, yes, it was amazing. At the first lunch, one of the women who was the guest, who was the emerging woman leader, was invited to come to the podium to talk about what had happened during the lunch. And this woman does accounting, and she's always been interested in law. And she got the opportunity of sitting next to one of our judges in Summit County, and she said to the group, "So guess what? I am going to law school. I made the decision today."
Wow.
That was exciting.
Yes.
We had another young woman, another year, who came to the podium, and she thanked everyone for being there and for really the outreach to her, that she felt more confident. She wanted a very clear, rapid career path in the large corporation that she was affiliated with. And as she left the podium to walk back, she came in front of my table. And it happened there were two women at my table who were upper management at that large corporation. And they both turned around and gave her a card and said, "Call me, we'll help you."
So as some advice as we move forward in the future, what would you say to young women leaders?
To be a little braver, to put on your brave hat and go somewhere you've never been before. I really don't like going new places, strange places. I tend to be on the shy side. But 4 times a year, I have a deal with myself. I have to go someplace new. I learn something, I'm more interesting, and then I have more things that I can share with other people. So do the same thing. Go somewhere you've never been before. Meet someone you've never met.
And any other things that you can say to leaders of all kinds? Women, men?
Yes, men and women and community leaders and school leaders and church leaders. It only takes one person to make a difference. If you look in the newspaper at something incredible that happened, it started with one person who had an idea and they kept moving forward with it. Please do that. The world is waiting for you.
Well, we will continue to move forward, and we thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Today on Moving Forward, we learned from Dr. William Landis about tissue engineering and where it hopes to help in the future. Just now, we finished talking to Norma Rist of Athena International. To learn more about today's topics, as well as us here on the Moving Forward team, please visit our website, ztvmovingforward.com. You can also like us on Facebook, ZTV Moving Forward, and you can follow all of our updates and plans that we have each week. We thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time here on Moving Forward.